All right, let's see how this goes. So what we're going to do is we're going to see. So all of these 8 things, as you know from the last chapter of Reeves' book, these are his suggestions. He's saying if you want policy that will make a difference in reducing income inequality, if you want to get the upper middle classes to be more generous, he's saying use the power of the state, and by that I mean state government, federal government, whatever. Use the power of the state to essentially, I don't want to use the word force, but make policies that everybody has to follow. Okay? So these are his 8 suggestions. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go across the room. So we're going to do number 1, number 2, number 3, and then we'll do number 4, number 5, number 6, or however it works out. You guys are 1 through 3. So we can do 1, 4, 7, and then 2, 5. You know what I'm saying? So that's what we're going to do now, okay? So, number 1, I need you guys to talk about why we got to reduce those unintended pregnancies with better birth control and what that means. Who's talking?
I got it.
Okay, Jenny.
Okay. Because of our relaxed social norms regarding sex, but the slow uptake of effective contraception, 60% of births of single women under the age of 30 are unplanned, which is causing them, or they have a higher risk of being in poverty, getting affected by inequality, public spending, housing, and health care provision. That's what I have. Okay, so how are we going to get better birth control to them? Make it more affordable for women to buy it. Make it more. We have Planned Parenthood. We have a couple in Fresno, I believe. We have other healthcare clinics that can give it out, but a lot of women can't afford it. I think it's between $15 and $20, which doesn't sound a lot to most of us, but it is a lot for some women. Mm-hmm. They hand out condoms like it's candy in colleges, but they don't hand out. That's what I hear. I saw 4 or 5 in the men's bathroom. Yeah, you can find them anywhere basically. You can find them in women's bathrooms, and it's like, what are we going to do with it? Yeah. But they should make it to where they have. Well, why not give out condoms? I mean, come on. You can give out condoms, but why isn't there more? Well, but why not give out condoms? Why not give out other better kinds of birth control? Why don't they give it out to? Why don't they have it more for female? Why do they have it just for men? They should have it. They should have it be able to hand it out to women more than, I mean, not more, but like just as much as men. Like okay. We're not given it. We have to go to the store and pay for it more. Okay. I'm not going to touch that one. Okay. Okay. But okay. So they want. I shouldn't even have said it that way. They want to reduce unintended pregnancies with better birth control, and in particular, they don't like the fact that the government, over the last several years, especially in states like Texas, has made access to abortion and access to birth control increasingly difficult. What do you guys have to say? You upper middle class bad people.
So the simplest form of birth control is to simply not have sex at all. And if you're not ready to have a child, you're going to have a difficult time if you do it. And you shouldn't have a child if you're not ready to have a child. And instead of...
But what if you use a condom?
What?
What if you use a condom? I mean, seriously, what if you use a condom? You're actually being responsible, aren't you?
Okay. But as soon as you have that child in you, it has its own life now, and it has its own rights, so it's not right of you to get rid of the baby even if you're not ready for it. Okay, but that didn't answer my question. I'm talking about using a condom. Okay.
I mean, if you use a condom, theoretically, you wouldn't get pregnant, right? But what's the problem with condoms? Are their success rates that good?
No, they don't always work.
No, they don't not always work. It's like 60% of the...
Yeah, it's a percentage of it actually being effective. Rather than...
So 60% of women who use condoms on a regular basis with their guys...
The men using condoms, but
with
yeah.
the men using condoms,
yeah.
But I mean, I'm pretty sure they use them
There's
together.
only a percentage, and then if you use birth control and condoms, then it's more effective. You have a better percentage of it being effective. But what we're arguing is that it's birth control, you have to go and get a prescription for it from a doctor in order to use it.
Okay.
But,
well, these people over here are just saying, well, be responsible. If you're, get married. Is that what you guys are saying? Have sex inside of a monogamous relationship?
Yeah, or wait until you're actually able to care for a baby.
Uh-huh. Okay. Okay. Anybody else? Priscilla? By the way, you all understand, you're just arguing a position. It's not you here, right? It's just a position, right? Okay.
Well, the whole thing on being in a monogamous relationship, birth control gives more, I guess, opportunities to be having immoral sex outside your relationship, because then it won't result in having a child. So,
well, why are you getting so moral about it? Why do you use the word immoral?
Because it's wrong to have, if you're in a marriage, it should be you and your husband,
okay.
and.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to come back here to you guys. What do you have to say? Well, I mean, she's saying, it's immoral to have sex outside of marriage.
According to some people,
Yeah.
but that doesn't go to all people.
That's not everybody's religion. Like, that's not everybody's choice. Like, people don't always want to wait until they're married, so they don't have to.
Mm-hmm.
That's just like that's usually just like a Christian religion that like has that like kind of rule behind it. But like that's not everybody's beliefs. So
Okay. All right.
yeah, oh yeah.
Okay, we're going to let Priscilla, or we'll let these guys. One more. Michelle, go ahead.
I just lost my train of thought.
Okay, Priscilla.
I'm not necessarily saying, you have to be married to have sex. I'm saying when people, like, if you're in a marriage and using birth control, now you can, cheat on your significant other because it's not going to result in having a child. So that's where the moral part is.
Okay, all right. So this stuff gets complicated really quickly, doesn't it? See, it goes haywire. It's not just Farrell making this stuff go haywire. It just goes haywire, all right? So, we're just playing here, okay? We're just playing around. We really should devote an hour to each of these things if we really wanted to do it right? Okay, Michelle?
I think there's also another part to this. Say you weren't ready to have a child and you didn't have the resources to take care of it, so you gave birth to a child, but then the things like home visiting, where's that going to come from? It's going to come from our pockets, the rich people.
Okay. No, that's a good point. I'm glad you brought that up. Because what you're saying is what you're saying, not you guys, but what your position is saying is I don't want to underwrite your immorality. Why should I have to do that? Right? I mean, that's kind of what you're saying, right? I think that's Jenny? I'm trying to get on the
we could help provide those contraceptions to those women that are getting pregnant, rather than telling them, oh no, you don't have sex until you get married. Or, like...
Right. But you understand what they're saying.
I get what they're saying.
Yeah.
But it's, it's a little too much. Like, I get it's coming out of my paycheck, or my mom's paycheck, or my dad, or whatever.
Right,
but
and you're saying I'm paying for it too.
Yeah, but how about we provide these things for those people instead of telling them, no, don't have sex, you can't get pregnant, or whatever.
Okay, we're going to move on. But notice what we've seen here. We've already seen this kind of parasite host metaphor that I mentioned the other day. Did I mention that? Did I write it up on the board? Parasite and host? So that the upper middle class people tend to think that they're paying for stuff. They're paying the taxes, and the poor people who need birth control and can't get it themselves, they're the parasites, right? So there's this parasite host notion, right? And the question is, who's the parasite and who's the host? I'm sure you guys would argue, listen, we're actually the host. We're working hard. We work 2 jobs, but we can't do everything that we need to do, and because of circumstances and blah blah blah, right? I mean, the point is that we are, even in this first one, we're seeing why this stuff makes people so crazy. Why it's so hard to just adopt policy, right? We talk about policy all the time. That's not the problem. The problem is adopting it, okay? All right, number 4, fund college fairly. You guys think that the college funding is unfair. Tell us about it. Who's talking? Who's the spokesperson?
Okay, repeat the question once again.
Well, you guys have to argue. You have to argue that you should fund college fairly. Stated differently, you have to argue that college is funded unfairly.
Okay, well, yes, college is funded very unfairly just because. Go on.
Okay, so basically, it's funded unfairly in the sense that, people who go to community college versus, a regular university like Fresno State or an Ivy League college like Princeton or somewhere get unequal educations, and I understand that, like,
Which is to say less good?
for the most part, yeah, I would argue that, because
Okay.
like, if you go to a community college and somebody else goes to, like, a university, they kind of, like, frown upon that. And in some senses, because they have higher funding, that people like at community colleges or university versus Ivy League get, like, less of a good education. I don't know how to word that right. But, like, basically those Ivy League colleges essentially get, like, an unfair advantage because they're getting what some would call or perceive as a better education. So say someone from a community college versus somebody who went to an Ivy League school or up for the same job. Somebody looking at, like, their qualifications would look at the fact that one had, like, an Ivy League education and probably choose them over the one who went to a community college because of the fact that, like, they perceive that as having more merit, even though it's an unfair advantage.
Okay, spoken to Dr. Farrell, who went to Fresno City College and got his transfer and then came to Fresno State and then went to UC Davis. I got a good education over there at City. But anyway, that's just me. So what do you guys have to say about this, number 4? You apparently think that college is funded just fairly enough.
Yes, because you kind of get what you pay for. So, like, here at State, there's plenty of resources, like, all the way from, like, health stuff. So, we have the student health clinic. We have career advising and things like that. And there's ways to pay for it here. Like, there's grants and scholarships and FAFSA and stuff. So there's ways to definitely pay for it. It's like whether or not you're willing to do the legwork to get it. And I feel like making it like funding college as if we fund the public school system would, to a certain point, like, devalue college. It would make it to where, first of all, everything would just have to be equal, and so it wouldn't carry the same weight all the time as, like, I go to Stanford versus, like, I went to Fresno City. And so, like I said, it really goes back to, like, you got, like, what you paid for and what you worked for, like in high school. And if you were willing to make the extra move to get the scholarships, to get the grants, to meet the FAFSA deadlines, you deserve to go to the school that you want to.
Okay. You guys have some rebuttal? Yeah.
Some people don't have the resources to know about, like, financial aid or scholarships. So they don't actually get the opportunity to be able to make the money to go to better colleges. So,
or for that matter, if you go to Fresno City, according to Reeves, there's one counselor for every 800 students at Fresno City College, right? Well, this is a place where you go to college because you can't afford to go elsewhere, or you choose to get an education in Fresno City because you want to save a little money, maybe for your third and your fourth year. But as you say, you go to Fresno City, you go there because you don't have the resources, you don't have the money, you're probably working too, right? And then you've got these counselors that, there's not enough of them to even give you good advice, right? Is that kind of what you're saying?
yeah.
Uh-huh. And it does happen at lower levels too?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah,
They're
okay.
not getting as much funding.
Uh-huh.
They kind of don't care as much.
Okay, all right.
She said you get what you pay for sometimes what you can't pay for isn't enough. And, like, people who are able to pay for higher education sometimes might even not take that seriously might not take their education seriously just because they've been around, like, they've been wealthier, obviously, or whatever, other than the person who has grown up in a poor whatever. They would take that opportunity seriously just because they wouldn't be able to.
Okay, all right. Okay. Victoria, could you reach over there and grab my it's lost its mind. Could you just turn it so that it follows me? What do you guys have to say to that? Anybody?
I think where she said, like, some people don't have the resources. We live in a world and a time where we have the most access to anything. Like, we have
Better
more
than it's ever been. Is that what you're
yeah,
saying?
we have more technology than the people who went to the moon,
Uh-huh.
And so I think to say, I can't get a scholarship, like, yeah, you can, like, so I mean, it just kind of, I think, people make that, we don't have access to resources. I think at this time, it's harder. Maybe necessarily, the argument can be made that it's harder to get it, But as far as like, oh, there's a lack of resources, I think that's debatable. But and you said getting what you pay for. Yeah, I think that like it would also like goes back to kind of devaluing it. Like, public school systems like are kind of messed up, and like, the funding's, and it kind of contributes to funding. So I think it would kind of.
Okay. Anybody else want to add anything?
Well, it's also the job of the high school that you're going to tell you about these things. I mean, yeah, it sucks if they didn't tell you, but like she was saying, in this day and age, I highly doubt that someone's not going to tell you that, hey, there's this FAFSA, there's this big deadline. So when I went to school, there's, I'm sure a lot of you guys went to a lot bigger school than I did, but they just put flyers and stuff all over the place saying FAFSA workshop, this is what it's for. They plaster your lockers and stuff. For you to not know that there's scholarships or grants or something out there to look for, then that's just ridiculous.
I was a dumbass. I didn't even know there was an SAT. All right. All right, we're going to move on here. You guys are saying that we need to open up internships, right? That internships are too exclusive, that they're unfair. So who's talking? All right.
Well, first of all, Reeves says that with internships, the majority are like unpaid internships where like graduates are getting the work experience but not getting paid. So then they can enter the.
How can they afford to do it?
Better off students are supported by their families usually, or like they've saved enough money to pay for their expenses while they're doing these internships, and their families make enough where they can support them and like say they're still living with their families while they're doing the internship and possibly maybe doing graduate school or something. But then these poor low-income families can't afford to pay for their
a summer in New York City.
Yeah, like and then just to mention, New York City is completely like super expensive to live there.
Even if a poor student who was good enough out of high school, comes from a high school that puts FAFSA stuff all over the place, tells you, when your deadlines are, able to get into Harvard, are they going to be able to spend a summer in New York working on Wall Street at a free internship?
No, because they're already using all of the money that they do slightly have to pay for their education at Harvard, so they have nothing left to even go to New York City. Like even if they did have a job in New York City, they still couldn't afford to be there because they can't get a good enough job to even.
Okay, so how might we fix it then? How might we change it so that internships would be more fair?
He wants people that. Oh well, yes.
No, I'm joking.
I want to. He wants intern like places like businesses and stuff like that to try to encourage low income kids to intern for them and to have programs that can pay their way, like their housing.
So in other words, have them be paid internships.
Yes, basically. So they would do the internship, but they would get money and like support and like scholarships kind of to pay their expenses so they can do these internships and get these opportunities based because they have the merit to do it rather than just having the opportunity from their parents or from their like class or their like hereditary income from their family to do it for them rather than them actually working hard to get to that
Okay,
point.
I'm gonna move over to this group of people that gets all the internships here and tell me why we shouldn't do this kind of thing. Who's talking?
Me.
Uh-huh.
So I guess our argument would basically be like the internships that our kids are getting like aren't unfair. We're just like using our resources of our friends. Like, why not use our resources to help our kids get a better life and the better opportunities? Because basically the lower class is trying to do the same thing for their kids, trying to get the same opportunities. So we just want our kids to end up with better opportunities later in life, too.
Okay. So you've got friends, you went to college, you make money. Why shouldn't you be able to take advantage of the people you know and the education that you've had? It's fair, right? That's fair, right? Is that what you guys think? Uh-huh. Okay. Let's come back over here.
Well, for the people that are born into families that don't make income, it's, as you said, dumb luck. Like, you don't choose your family. So even if, like, say like they would compare someone that's super ambitious, that's worked so hard in high school and possibly in like city college or something like that. They're as equal basically as someone who doesn't work hard and has no ambition, that makes a lot of money, that's going to get into Harvard most likely over this person that's hardworking and ambitious. And it's not that person's fault that they were born with a family that doesn't have the resources to provide them with these connections and friends and like opportunity to get them into those high-paying internships. Like most of them, they don't even, like if they are in New York where they would get that internship, they're not living in the super nice areas where they're around people that are the same class as them, where they have those connections, and they don't have that opportunity. They're most likely in a poor area of New York, and they're not even around people that are owners or corporate people of high businesses like that.
Okay, all right. Okay, let me see if these people have anything more to say. These people. Let me see if these people.
Like basically, like put yourself in our shoes. Like if you had all the opportunities and like the money that we have, like wouldn't you take advantage of that, and wouldn't you want the best for your kid? And it's like everyone basically looks out for themselves, like even the lower class, you know, like they're looking out for their benefit.
Yeah, survival of the fittest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like
absolutely.
why wouldn't you, like in the end everyone just looks out for themselves, like for their
There we go. Oh.
I also believe that like if you are ambitious enough, like you can go and make those same friends. Like you can go, if you make it to a college, you can go looking for the people that would be able to give you those internships or would be able to help you through, just like we would if we had the same friends. All you have to do is go to college, make those friends, and then they'd help you just like they'd help our kids.
Yeah, but you got to get into college.
Yeah, but you can make friends like in any type of college. Like there's still, like every college is going to have those higher up people. You don't have to go to an Ivy League to get the same internships.
Okay, all right. Those Bullard people never let me in their circles, but anyway, that's just me.
Yeah, like to address that topic.
I tried to get into those circles. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, like some kids, they don't have this like behavior, the same behavior as these higher upper middle class people, so they can't actually get into those circles. And even if they do make friends with these upper middle class groups, they're still going to choose their friends over this new person that's not as high quality as they are.
Well, actually, they're going to choose their friends' sons and daughters, right?
And they're
so
not
you're
gonna
actually, it's not even the friends you would make, it's the parents of the friends you would make, right?
And they want to stay friends with those people, so they're not going to choose the kids of this random person that just came up to them like, "Hi, can I be your friend?" They're going to choose the person that can keep them.
I don't like her at all. I'm just joking.
They're gonna choose the person that they want to stay friends with, and that can give them those like connections. Like if I had a friend that is like higher quality than I am, like say they're a higher business person, I want to be on their good side and like have their kid as my intern rather than someone that can't do anything for me.
Okay.
Because if you get another person that's not like lower than me, like say like just like a step lower, I don't need to be on their good side because they're not going to do anything for me. Rather than if I go to the person that's higher up.
Did you hear that, Doreen?
And I hire their kid, they're going to do something for me.
Uh-huh.
So.
Yeah, so what they're saying, Doreen, is they'd like to live like you. Let us in, right? Let us live like you. Okay. We'll come back here. Let me see, you guys, number 5. What about exclusionary building zones? You wanna change building zones. Why? Who's talking? Okay. You think zoning is inherently unfair and it should be changed. Explain.
Because if you were to get rid of the exclusionary zoning, it would allow more equal opportunities due to the non-segregation of neighborhoods, because like as it is with the zoning, more upper middle class are just around upper middle class and more like lower
in single family homes, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And like if you were to get rid of those, there would be more equal education for the lower class children, because again with the segregation,
because they would be in the neighborhood in their 2-story to 3-story multi-family homes, right?
So they would have more like equal access to education, and not only would it benefit like the lower
Good
class
education,
children,
right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Not only would it benefit like the more lower class children, it would also benefit like the more upper class children and their families because they would be exposed to more diversity.
Did you get that, Doreen? Diversity is good. More people not like you is a good thing. Okay. All right, I'm going to move over here. You talking again, or somebody else talking? You guys need to argue. You need to say, listen, we have a right to zone our neighborhoods the way we want to. Screw you people.
I don't want to live among the riffraff of the city.
Go, man. I like it.
I mean, like,
I don't want to offend anybody, but, I don't want to live with the riffraff. I love it.
I mean, they could be criminals for all I know, and, like, I have to live among them?
Yeah.
I mean, and also, I like my privacy.
Oh, okay. You like
my own home.
You like your yard.
Own family.
Yeah. You like your 3-car garage. Your boat. You need room for your boat, right?
I never take out, but
Right. It's expensive, but anyway. All right.
I think aside from being like that, we have a right as Americans to life, liberty, and property. So if you get your property.
You mean the pursuit of happiness?
I think it was property first.
No, actually, it was originally property, but it was changed to pursuit of happiness. But yeah, you got it.
Yeah.
Original American values.
So you love your property. So are you saying that if the city of Fresno or the city of Clovis or the state of California or the federal government decides that you have to have apartments among your neighborhood and that causes your property values to drop, that you're having money stolen from you?
Yeah, because I mean,
Damn
it's
right.
you owned it. Like it's something that is an asset for you, and if it's losing its value, that's a loss for you.
Right. So think about this, Jenny, just with reference to birth control, right? I mean, taxation. I should stop talking about my rich friends, but anyway, they see taxation as theft. They see the government just taking their money to give to other people. Not for us, but to give to other people. It's theft. So lowering the tax rate's always good. Shrinking government is always good, right? It's theft. Stop stealing from us.
Well, it's just kind of like if you know that you're gonna be like taxed, if you're what's the point of working? Or what's the point of having the goals of aspiring to get to that point? If you just have to if you're going to have to give up most of it or a good chunk of it, what would really motivate you? Because in the end...
You know what I think? I think you people are smart and you work hard and you make money. And I think if we taxed you another 10%, you'd keep working hard. In fact, I'll bet you if we taxed you at 50% or 70%, you'd still work hard. That's what I think, because that's what you people do, right? Warren Buffett says, tax me at 90%. You can take 90% of my money. That's not going to stop me from making money. I'm just going to work that much harder because I like doing it, right? So anyway, that's just something to think about. You guys got a rebuttal here?
Yeah, he said we might be criminals, but honestly, he might have gotten rich by some fraud stuff. So
Wait a minute. You mean he might have stolen some of his money?
Yeah.
He might have charged excessive interest rates?
Definitely.
Might be a slumlord?
Definitely.
Yeah. All right. Anything else?
We talked about privacy. It's not like you're having to invite somebody into your home. You're just going to be sharing a neighborhood. They're not going to be any more intrusive than people who would be your neighbors already in the upper middle class.
Yeah, but their children are going to be riding around with the pants hanging down on their bikes and stuff.
Yeah, but upper middle class have children too.
All right. So, all right, we're going to move on over here to you guys. Let me see. You guys were 1 through 3. So let's get better teachers for unlucky kids. So we're doing number 3. You guys
We're doing
prepare.
number 3?
Yeah.
Okay. We're supposed to be on his side?
You are arguing for getting better teachers to bad schools by paying them more.
Okay.
To go to bad schools.
To go to bad schools.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was actually one of the points. He had 3 resolutions to solve it. Number 3 was make it a requirement for school principals and vice principals to work in more challenging schools. And then he also said that teacher salaries are upside down, higher in affluent schools, districts, and lower in the poorer schools. And one way to solve it, use money as an initiative. Inner city public schools should pay more to their teachers, should pay their teachers substantially more than the fancy schools because they deal with more less prepared and more disruptive students.
Okay, very good. So we're coming to you guys. Which one are we on now? Number 3, yeah. Michelle?
Okay, so I have a child and I have the resources for it. I bought a house.
Are you married?
Sure.
Did this child come outside of marriage? No, I'm
No, I didn't. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, but
We're just playing. It's just fun.
okay, so I have a kid and I have the resources to take care of the kid, and I purposefully moved into a rich neighborhood so that I can give my child, the best resources possible. Now, if those resources are going to a different area, I paid for that, and I have the money for that, so why shouldn't I have the best teachers? Why should they go to a different place?
Priscilla?
If my child is doing good in school and I have the resources to get them tutoring and all this stuff, why are we going to have better teachers for unlucky kids who most likely won't want to do their work, especially in areas like that, who don't really want to do anything to get better? So if my kid is doing everything they need to do to get to college, why am I not going to have better teachers for my kids as well?
Okay, all right. No. Yeah, we'll let you, Jenny. But you do it. 30 seconds.
30 seconds. Okay. Okay. Back about that. I'll talk about that. It's not necessarily, you can't just say that these poorer schools have crappier students per se, because I don't even know where you even get that information from. You don't know if they're hard workers or they're trying hard.
Well, the test scores are low. They're disruptive. They've got ADHD. I mean, they're drug babies.
Well, I want to know where those statistics are.
No? That is not what people would say?
That's a good.
That is what people would say. I've heard this stuff. Come on.
That's what people say to make themselves feel better
Right.
about the crappy teachers.
Okay, so listen. I just want to say this. That, you all did great, and that was fun, and maybe we should do it more. But let me just say this. There was also so much that you didn't even mention. And this book has so many different valences of, information, connection, I mean, in other words, this was a really simple book to read, but there's so much in it that it's hard to actually synthetically treat it all and to kind of manage it all, right? Then you throw in the class issues. The whole, you people are scum, or, you people are rich and selfish, all that stuff. I mean, it just immediately goes in, right? I mean, and as an experiment, I don't even know where you guys actually stand, but I'm watching some of you and I'm thinking, nah, she can't really think that, because I'm making judgments about you and what you look like and where I presume you're from. You know what I'm saying? So all I'm saying is that this was fun. I'm glad we did it. Maybe we'll do it some more. We've still got 8-9 weeks to go. No reason we can't do it. But I also want to say that, it's not as easy as writing a 156-page book and then suddenly, bada bing, we're going to have a fair and equal society. See what I'm saying? It doesn't work that way. There's policy, and then there's politics, right? It's the politics that's really crazy making, right? Because, we can't usually get through the politics to even get to talking about the policy. Okay? All right, I hope you guys had fun. Thanks a lot.